cannabis community includes a diverse set of activists and nonprofits working to end the prohibition of marijuana. We take the time to hear the stories of reform on the Russ Belville Show's Cannabis Community Chat.
Welcome back, everybody. 47 after the hour, and joining us on the telephone, we've got Keith on the line. Can you hear us, Keith?
Yes, Russ. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. You know, we got Bago Schwago, who's one of our music editors. He's down there in Arizona, and he said, you got to talk to this guy. And because you are dealing with one of the things that I find most loathsome about Arizona's medical marijuana law, and that is the rule that says if you live within 25 miles of a dispensary, you can't grow your own. And that just seems to me wrong. Tell us about how this came to be, how you got into this fight.
Okay. I come from, I was 2 years ago, the doctors left me paralyzed and addicted to 4 different pills. And I first used this, we got a medical marijuana law, we got our law in, and then because they, quote unquote, according to the law, they had 2 weeks from the time they issued cards, they had to get the dispensaries open. And they dicked around, excuse the French, but just I'm calling it like I see it.
Oh, yeah.
And so we were allowed to grow for 2 years because there were no dispensaries. All of a sudden, these dispensaries start cropping up, and they're taking everybody's rights away. Well, of course, when I came out of the pill coma and I started learning and reading this law.
Keith.
Hello,
Keith. Before we go much further, let me make sure people understand exactly what we're talking about here. With that Arizona law, the way they wrote it was that if there was no dispensary, if you were farther than 25 miles away, then you could grow your own. You could grow 12 plants. But what happened then is that people went and got their tents and got their lights, got their clones, started growing, had the right, and then somebody opens up a dispensary 24 and a half miles away. You got to stop growing. Now, did they give you notices or anything about that?
No, it's basically when your card renews, and this is the thing, they just do not allow you to cultivate.
Okay.
And you can appeal, and the member of the other party in this case, he appealed and took it all the way to the administrative hearing, and of course they denied him. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't even hear his arguments, in fact.
Jeez.
So I was reading this, and then it dawned on me. We have what's called Article 27, Section 2. Janet Brewer and the whole conservative right, they pushed this in. And it says, no law, directly or indirectly, shall compel me to join any healthcare system.
And this was kind of an anti-Obamacare thing, wasn't it? Okay.
They wrote it anti-Obamacare, and then 2 years later, we have medical marijuana. But we have to understand, we had voted it in the same year California did. In fact, our polls ended an hour earlier, so we had the first law in 1996.
Right.
Of course, they implemented theirs, and our legislature hijacked ours twice.
Right.
So that's why when they voted their anti-Obamacare law in, we said, fine, we have a Voter Protection Act. And now it's done at the same time. So that is the only way we have the medical marijuana 2 years later is because of that chain of events.
So is it your legal theory here and why you're suing basically saying that because you're forcing me to have to go to a dispensary rather than growing my own, a right that I used to have, you're essentially directly or indirectly forcing me to become part of a healthcare organization?
Yeah, literally, they are. In the definition of a healthcare system in our Constitution, it says self-provider. Now, I have a question for Will Humble.
Will Humble, by the way, is the Arizona director of the state health.
Yeah, the director of the health department, who by chance does not have a medical degree.
Okay.
So he is determining our medical choices, and he is not a doctor. I want that to make that clear to everybody. This man is not a doctor.
Right.
So, and now the University of Washington came out with a study that said garlic is 100 times more efficient or more effective as an antibiotic than antibiotics are.
Garlic.
Okay. Yeah, raw garlic. So here's my question to him. Are we going to need medical garlic cards?
Now, I got a question.
My name is Garden. We're going to have to check to see if you're growing illegal garlic because that's a plant you can grow for yourself and it heals the body.
Yeah. Now let's get back to the trial here and the court case that you're pushing, because we got a question from our chat room that wants to know what your causes of action are. How are you able to bring this this suit?
You mean what was the means?
Yeah.
I myself stepped up. I got my Social Security back pay, and I put it out there. My life savings. That's what got us started. We're also we have a couple sites we're getting donations to help fund this fight. And I would love to get in touch with some libertarians, because not only are they violating Article 27, Section 2, excuse me a second, they're also violating Articles 14, Section 15, which is the state can't regulate the transportation of any product or commodity. That's in our Constitution.
The state can't regulate the transportation of any commodity?
Any product or commodity.
How does Arizona have grocery stores?
They can't regulate it. See? They cannot, they're creating a monopoly, because they are regulating only so many people, a limited monopoly, and that's against our Constitution.
All right. Well, let's go back to the cause of action here. Basically, you were a patient who was growing. You were able to grow legally for a while.
I'm actually an author. I have a small little grow book I sell, and it's I show how I grow it for $50 a pound.
Okay, so
I wrote a little book to teach everybody how they can grow their own for $50 a pound.
So basically, this is a right you had before the dispensary opened up near you. And then it's a right.
I was a self-provider. They forced me to become a self-provider because they did not enact the dispensary part of our program.
Oh, I see. So you're not your cause of action isn't that you used to be able to grow and then they forced you to a dispensary. It was that you were forced to grow because there wasn't a dispensary.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And now they're revoking that. So I'm already established for 2 years a self-provider under our Constitution.
Gotcha. Okay. So
constitutionally, if you don't want Obamacare, it's your choice. If you don't want medical marijuana, it's your choice. It doesn't matter what the choice is. They can't restrict your choice in Arizona. And this would end it on a federal level. If we could get a constitutional amendment nationally, like they did in 37, if we could get this across, it would end the medical marijuana and end the Obamacare.
Now, what I read from the attorney who's representing Will Humble in the state, he said something to the effect of, well, nobody's forcing you to be a medical marijuana patient. You're voluntarily choosing to be a medical marijuana patient and then comply with the regulations that are set in the medical marijuana program. You don't have to be a patient.
No, medical marijuana is not a choice. Without it, I'm an addict, let's face it. I've had 4 back surgeries. I got a cadaver bone holding my spine together.
Gotcha.
I had pain, bad pain, and I was an addict, and I was able to kick. I've been pill-free 2 years. Now, I refuse to I don't trust doctors. I'm being honest. I don't trust doctors. I don't trust the government. I don't trust anybody.
Now, the attorney that's working with you is Mr. Was it Gregory Waltz? Was his name?
Michael Waltz.
Michael Waltz. The other guy was Gregory. Okay, Michael Waltz. And I know these attorneys; they cost a lot of money. So, do you have any funds or like a fundraising site or any information?
Yes, we have. There's 2 fundraiser sites and a GoFundMe site.
Okay, go ahead and give that out.
I'll say the 25-mile rule. So if you do a search for that, and on Facebook, there's several pages.
Okay, so what would be the easiest way for our listeners to be able to get you some money or get you some help or ask for more information?
If they can go on to Facebook and go on to the Class Action 25-mile rule page.
Class Action 25-mile rule. Okay, on
Facebook.
And
at the very top of it, and the very first thing is the fundraiser site.
All right. So how are you holding up with all of this? It sounds like you're pretty raring to go and looking for a fight. You sound pretty spunky.
Well, I know what it's like, too. Well, I ended up in the hospital a month ago because I've been without medicine. I eat the leaves, and this is pass on a little knowledge. 11 months ago, I couldn't walk. I needed a walker, a back brace, and a knee brace. Within 2 months of eating my leaves from my garden, and it's organic. Don't panic, it's organic. That's my little catchphrase.
Yeah.
It has to be organic because I eat it. And within 2 months of eating it, I was walking.
Wow. That is great news.
It's a miracle, yeah. And I eat it in every meal. And since 2 months ago, I stopped my garden. I've been in the hospital once. My knee now, I need a knee brace. I'm being harmed. And our dispensaries, by law, have to dispose of their leaves. They can't sell them.
Really?
The flowers is the only usable part, according to our law, that the dispensaries can handle. Everything else has to be disposed of.
That is so sad because we are hearing so much from so many people that are getting the benefits from juicing cannabis leaves.
And if you juice with ice chunks, because one of the cannabinoids, THCA, changes at like 140 degrees, so you get the most beneficial to the body if you keep it cold.
Well, damn, just this story just once again shows that while we have to fight for medical marijuana because we have to help the sick and disabled, but it just never goes far enough. There's always some catch. There's always some trick that ends up hurting someone like you. Yeah,
well, they all want to tax and regulate my health, and they can, sorry, excuse the French, they can go to hell. I'm an American. I'm an Arizonan. And in Arizona, we have this right. My body, my choice is my right. And if I choose to grow my food and my medicine, I can. And there's nothing they can say about it. And if I sell it now, they can come talk to me. If I do, as long as it's for me, my consumption, there's nothing they can say.
Yeah, it's very strange to me when Arizona Governor Jan Brewer can say that Arizona's right and the feds are wrong on immigration, but that Arizona's wrong and the feds are right on medical marijuana. Makes no sense.
Yeah. And it's all about, let's be honest, it's all about tax and regulate.
Yeah. Hey,
because Article 2, Section 13, if a dispensary can be open within 25 miles of the dispensary, so can I, because we have equal protection, and that's also in our Constitution. So this was just the best one. There's no wiggle room. That's why we went with the Article 27, Section 2.
All right. Well, Keith Floyd, we will keep in touch with you and find out how your case turns out. Thanks for joining us here on the Russ Belville Show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, folks, that's all the time we got for today. Thanks for joining us. And coming up next, a new episode of Free Weed with Danny Danko. I think it's the live one he recorded at the Seattle Cannabis Cup, maybe one of the two that he recorded there. Check out 420radio.org. Buy something from our shop. The new pins are online. We want to send you one for everyone involved here. And thanks to the Boston Freedom Rally people. We'll talk more about that throughout the coming weeks. I'm Radical Russ. Until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it,